We spend our lives hiding the cracks. The emotional ones, the psychological ones, the invisible fractures beneath the polished surface. Because the world taught us something dangerous. Broken things lose value. So we hide the scar. We edit the story. We pretend the damage never happened. But in an old Zen tradition, there exists a strange belief that a broken object can become more beautiful than before it shattered. Not despite the cracks, because of them. And tonight, through shattered bowls, fractured hearts, and the gold hidden inside suffering, we explore the Zen art of becoming whole through what broke you. Modern culture worships perfection, especially in 2026. AI-generated beauty, symmetrical faces, curated lifestyles, filtered emotions, optimized identities. Everywhere you look, life is being polished into something impossibly smooth. And slowly, human beings begin treating themselves like products. Any flaw feels unacceptable. Any setback feels catastrophic. Any visible crack becomes evidence of failure. But Zen sees fracture differently, not as the end of beauty, as the beginning of depth. Perfectionism is not really about excellence. It is about fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of exposure. Fear of being seen as incomplete. And modern society amplifies this fear constantly. Social media no longer shows life. It shows edited identity. People display outcomes without struggle. Confidence without doubt. Beauty without aging. Success without suffering. Even spirituality becomes polished performance. And after enough exposure to these impossible standards, the nervous system begins believing, if my life contains cracks, something is wrong with me. The ego interprets mistakes dramatically, not as experiences, as identity threats. A failed relationship becomes, I am unlovable. A career collapse becomes, I am worthless. A visible flaw becomes, I am broken permanently. This is why perfectionism creates such deep psychological exhaustion, because the ego spends enormous energy trying to maintain an illusion of wholeness. But eventually, life cracks everyone. No one escapes this, a betrayal, a loss, a heartbreak, illness, a dream collapsing unexpectedly. And for the first time, the polished image begins splitting open. This creates a terrifying void. Because suddenly, the future you carefully designed no longer exists. Zen teachings often begin precisely here, at collapse. Not because suffering is romantic, but because suffering interrupts illusion. The old self fractures. And through the fracture, something deeper becomes visible. A quieter awareness beneath the performance. Because sometimes the crack is not destroying your life. Sometimes it is the first place reality finally enters. In Japan, there is an ancient art form called Kintsugi. When a tea bowl breaks, the fracture is not hidden. The pieces are carefully gathered, patiently restored, then repaired using lacquer mixed with powdered gold. Gold, not glue designed to conceal the damage. Gold designed to illuminate it. And suddenly, the crack becomes the most beautiful part of the bowl. Think about how strange this philosophy is. Modern culture teaches, damage reduces value. If something breaks, replace it. If something cracks, hide it. If something becomes flawed, discard it. But Kintsugi whispers the exact opposite. The break is not the end of beauty. It is the beginning of a deeper kind of beauty, a beauty untouched perfection can never achieve. Most human beings spend enormous energy pretending they are untouched, emotionally intact, psychologically composed, internally smooth. We polish our image carefully. We hide grief professionally. We conceal heartbreak socially. We edit suffering into silence. Because somewhere deep down, many people believe, if others see the fracture, they will see less value in me. So the scar becomes hidden underground, not healed, buried. But hidden wounds do not disappear. They harden quietly. And over time, the effort required to appear whole becomes heavier than the original pain itself. This is why so many people feel exhausted without understanding why, because maintaining the illusion of perfection requires constant psychological labor. The smile becomes armor. The performance becomes prison. And eventually, the soul grows tired of pretending nothing shattered. Then life arrives, not gently. A betrayal fractures the heart. A dream collapses unexpectedly. A death enters the room. A future disappears. And suddenly, the carefully constructed identity cannot hold itself together anymore. This moment terrifies the ego, because the ego worships continuity, control, predictability. But Zen has always understood something profound. Transformation rarely happens without fracture. Modern culture asks, how do I avoid suffering? Zen asks, what is suffering revealing? Because sometimes, the breaking destroys illusion. The illusion that you were invincible. The illusion that achievement could protect you from loss. The illusion that control could guarantee peace. And when those illusions collapse, something deeper finally becomes visible. Not weakness, truth. Kintsugi does not erase the history of the bowl, it honors it. The object becomes more beautiful because its survival becomes visible. Its suffering becomes part of its identity. Its fracture becomes sacred geometry. And perhaps human beings work the same way. Perhaps wisdom is not found in remaining untouched. Perhaps wisdom is forged precisely through what shattered us. Zen aesthetics have always loved weathered things. Old wood darkened by time. Temple steps worn smooth by countless feet. Cracked stone covered in moss. Tea bowls uneven and imperfect. Why? Because weathered things carry evidence of existence. They feel alive. A flawless object feels distant, untouched. But worn things contain time inside them, and time creates emotional gravity. The ego desperately wants to return to the version of itself that existed before the pain, before the heartbreak, before the humiliation, before the collapse. It keeps asking, how do I become who I was before? But Zen rarely moves backward. Zen transforms. The bowl repaired with gold does not become its old self again. It becomes something entirely new, something deeper. There is a strange psychological shift that occurs after conscious suffering. If someone remains awake through pain, not numb, not bitter, not avoidant, their perception changes. The heart softens, judgment weakens, compassion deepens. Because suffering dissolves the illusion that human beings are meant to remain perfectly composed forever. The scar becomes evidence of humility. There is a famous line often attributed to Leonard Cohen. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Zen would understand this immediately, because closed perfection leaves no opening, no vulnerability, no depth. But fracture creates space. And through that space, awareness enters, compassion enters, reality enters. Many people secretly treat their suffering like contamination, something shameful, something to conceal before being accepted. But what if your scars are not proof of inadequacy? What if they are proof that you survived realities powerful enough to break you and still remained open enough to heal? That changes everything. Pain can make people rigid, but conscious pain often creates tenderness instead. A repaired soul understands fragility intimately, so it learns softness, patience, gentleness, not because it became weak, because it finally understands how easily all things break. And perhaps the deepest tragedy is not that people break. It is that so many spend their lives believing their cracks make them unworthy of love. The repaired bowl no longer hides what happened to it. The fracture shines openly. And strangely, that honesty creates beauty. Not polished beauty, human beauty, alive beauty. The beauty of survival made visible. Maybe healing was never about erasing the damage. Maybe healing means learning how to carry your fractures without shame, how to let suffering deepen you instead of harden you, how to transform the wound into gold. Because one day, you may finally realize the most valuable parts of your life were not created by what remained untouched, but by what broke and learned how to shine anyway. Imagine a restless young achiever sitting before a quiet Zen master. The student says, "I feel ruined. My life no longer looks the way I planned." The master lifts a cracked tea bowl silently. Gold runs through its fractures. Then he asks, "Did the bowl become worthless, or did it become real?" Modern society fears aging, fears failure, fears emotional damage. Because modern systems are disposable. Replace the old model. Upgrade constantly. Remove imperfections quickly and slowly. People begin treating themselves the same way, but the Zen master sees differently. Newness is not depth. Weathering creates character. Pressure creates texture. Repair creates wisdom. A person who has suffered consciously often carries more compassion than someone untouched by pain, because brokenness softens judgment. The student asks, "Then why am I ashamed of my wounds?" The master replies, "Because you think love belongs only to the flawless." But genuine human connection rarely forms through perfection. It forms through revealed humanity, through honesty, through visible fracture. People trust what feels real, not what feels polished. Your deepest wounds often become the exact places where empathy begins, because suffering tears open the illusion of separateness. The broken heart understands broken hearts. The grieving soul understands grief. The scar becomes a bridge, and strangely, the parts of yourself you try hardest to hide are often the parts that make others feel less alone. Modern culture has become obsessed with replacement. Replace the broken thing. Replace the aging object. Replace the damaged relationship. Replace the uncomfortable emotion. Replace the imperfect version of yourself. Everything has become disposable, even people. Especially people. The modern world moves quickly, too quickly for repair. Convenience has trained the human mind to abandon things the moment friction appears, and slowly, this mentality begins infecting our inner life. The moment sadness appears, escape it. The moment a relationship becomes difficult, discard it. The moment self-doubt surfaces, hide it. Everything uncomfortable becomes treated as defective, something to remove quickly before it slows down performance. Underneath this mindset lies a deeper fear, the fear that damaged things lose value forever. So people spend their lives trying to remain emotionally undamaged, untouched, unscarred, perfectly functional. But this pursuit creates fragility, because anything that fears breaking becomes brittle. A glass heart survives by avoidance, avoiding pain, avoiding vulnerability, avoiding emotional exposure. It protects itself carefully. But protection alone never creates strength. It creates tension. And eventually, the fear of breaking becomes more imprisoning than the break itself. This is why many people look composed externally, yet collapse internally the moment life stops cooperating, because they built identity around remaining intact, instead of learning how to recover. Zen never promises a painless life. The old masters never taught invulnerability. They taught relationship with impermanence. Everything changes. Everything ages. Everything fractures eventually. The question is not, will life break me? The question becomes, what will I become after the breaking? Because resilience is not the absence of damage. It is the ability to remain alive after transformation. There is immense wisdom hidden inside repaired things. A person who has consciously suffered often carries a different kind of presence. Softer, quieter, less arrogant, because pain dismantles illusion. The illusion of total control, the illusion of superiority, the illusion that life owes us permanence. And strangely, this dismantling often creates depth. Psychologically, the mind remembers fracture. But when suffering is faced consciously, not denied, not buried, not projected, something extraordinary can happen. The wound becomes integrated. And integrated pain transforms into wisdom, not theoretical wisdom, embodied wisdom. The kind you can feel in someone's voice, in their patience, in their gentleness toward other human beings. The jagged edges of your past can become the structural integrity of your future. Heartbreak teaches tenderness. Loss teaches impermanence. Failure teaches humility. Loneliness teaches self-relationship. And eventually, the very experiences that once shattered identity become the foundation of emotional depth. Zen often values flexibility over rigidity. An oak tree resists the storm violently. Sometimes it snaps, but bamboo bends. And because it bends, it survives. The resilient soul functions like bamboo, not emotionally numb, not hard like stone, flexible, able to feel deeply without collapsing permanently, able to bend with suffering, without losing root. There is a strange calmness that appears in people who have already survived devastation, not because they enjoy pain, because they no longer fear fragility in the same way. The repaired soul understands, I can survive transformation. And this realization changes everything. The fear of life weakens. The obsession with control softens. The nervous system stops clinging so desperately to certainty. A culture obsessed with replacement never develops depth. Because depth requires staying, repairing, remaining present long enough to let suffering teach something. But modern life encourages constant escape. New distraction, new identity, new relationship, new stimulation. anything to avoid sitting quietly with the fracture itself. Real resilience begins the moment you stop asking, "How quickly can I escape this pain?" and start asking, "What is this pain trying to shape inside me?" That question transforms suffering completely, because now the wound becomes teacher, not enemy. This restorative philosophy must also extend inward. Most people speak to themselves violently after failure. They shame themselves, attack themselves, discard parts of themselves emotionally. But healing requires a different relationship, not indulgence, compassionate honesty. The repaired soul learns, "I do not need to hate myself for having cracks." A mended soul is not naive. It knows suffering intimately. It knows collapse intimately. But because of this, it becomes more spacious, more forgiving, more human. Unlike the brittle heart that fears every impact, the repaired heart knows, "Even if I break again, I know how to heal." And that knowledge creates profound inner stability. Because true strength is not found in remaining untouched forever. True strength emerges the moment you realize you are survivable. Zen repeatedly teaches impermanence, not as pessimism, as liberation. Because when you stop demanding permanence from life, you stop interpreting every fracture as catastrophe. Things change, people leave, bodies age, dreams evolve. And resisting this reality creates suffering. But flowing with it creates resilience. There is something deeply moving about a person who has suffered consciously and remained open anyway, not cynical, not hardened, still capable of love, still capable of gentleness, still capable of wonder. That is not weakness, that is extraordinary strength. Perhaps the goal of life was never to remain perfectly unbroken. Perhaps the goal was learning how to fracture without losing your humanity, how to suffer without becoming cruel, how to repair without hiding the scar, because in the end, the strongest souls are not the ones that avoided every storm, but the ones who walked through devastation and still chose to remain soft enough to love. Perfection is static, lifeless, frozen, but imperfection breathes, moves, changes, lives. Zen understands this deeply. A perfectly smooth stone feels artificial. A weathered stone feels alive. Most people spend years sanding down their rough edges, trying to appear acceptable. But your roughness contains your humanity. Your scars contain your story. Your fractures contain your depth. And perhaps the goal is not becoming flawless. Perhaps the goal is becoming fully real. Imagine a world where people no longer hid every crack, where suffering was not treated as failure, where scars were honored as evidence of survival, where human beings stopped performing perfection and started revealing truth. That world would feel radically different, softer, more honest, more compassionate. Kintsugi teaches something profound. The break is not the end of the object's story. It becomes part of its beauty. And maybe your life works the same way. Maybe the heartbreak did not ruin you. Maybe the failure did not diminish you. Maybe the cracks are where the light finally entered. The world will continue teaching you to hide your fractures, to polish your image, to erase every visible imperfection. But Zen whispers something entirely different. The crack is not your shame, it is your signature. Because perfection creates distance, but visible humanity creates connection. And perhaps the most beautiful people are not the untouched ones, but the ones brave enough to carry their gold openly. A cracked bowl repaired with gold does not pretend the breaking never happened. It transforms the wound into meaning. And maybe healing is not returning to who you were before. Maybe healing is becoming someone deeper. Because you broke. So tonight, instead of asking, "How do I hide my scars?" ask something different. What if the cracks are where my real beauty began? And maybe, for the first time, you will stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as becoming art.